Welcome to the Draft Board Hockey Show, episode 4. My name is Mark, and I'm joined by my co-host, Linc from New Wave Hockey. What's going on, my friend?
What is going on? Indeed, everything's going well. Everything's been great. I'm super excited to talk about the WHL today. Today, we're going to be talking about the top prospects coming out of the WHL, and honestly, what a class of guys it is. There's a lot of really good names here. There's some guys off to hot starts. We could be looking at like 6 or 7 first rounders here. That could be really interesting. I'm really intrigued by this class.
Yeah, you know what? The WHL has been putting out some nice prospects the last few years for sure, and it doesn't stop in the 2026 draft. A bunch of players that we're going to talk about actually today. And the one thing before we begin, I want to mention, if you're into fantasy hockey, you got to check out Fantrax. And if you go to www.fantrax.com/NHL Draft Pros and sign up, we'd really appreciate it. So let's get into the prospects, the WHL prospects for the 2020-26 NHL Draft class. And who do you want to start with, Linc? I'll let you have the honors of what player would you like to discuss first?
Well, we all know I think it's been established pretty early on that I love the defensemen from this class specifically. There are 3 big ones. However, I think we got to talk about the guy that everyone's really been talking about. He's been on the mind of every single person who has been watching the WHL closely. He had a great opening weekend, 7 points in 3 games. That is Mathis Preston, the Rocket from the Spokane Chiefs right there. He had a really impressive season last year. There's a lot of energy from this guy, very fast skater, very quick puck mover, quick puck handler. I love the energy in his game. There's a lot of comparables to Berkeley Catton, but he's on the wing. But again, I think he's his own prospect where he's a lot more dynamic in the zone than Berkeley Catton was, and not as a dynamic in transition. He's a really smart player. He's a quick player. He's someone that everyone's going to have to really be on the lookout for top 10 in this draft. I mean, just look at how proficient he is in the zone. Very good off the puck. There are some details he does need to work on and be more of a mature player. But again, he's come out swinging in his first 3 games. There's a lot of hope that he's going to be that really well-rounded offensive dynamic player. And hey, you never know what the limit is with this guy. He could maybe sneak into a top 5 role. He has the talent to do so.
Yeah, I would have thought you would have picked one of the defensemen to start off this segment. But okay, Mathis Preston, I'm impressed. I don't think you were as high on him as I was.
No, I wasn't.
Well, like you said, there are details to his game away from the puck that he needs to work on. But the offense is obviously hitting its mark early on in the season. Can he maintain that pace? That's a question. We got, it's early. We got to wait and see how things progress. But right now, he's looking like an offensive dynamo. And you know what? On Spokane, playing with such players as Berkeley Catton and Andrew Christel, I mean, that doesn't hurt your cause, especially when you're on the power play for sure, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, absolutely. But this will be a big test from this year. I think Berkeley Catton's going to stay up with the AHL squad. Shea Van Olm is in Penn State, and Andrew Christel is with the Hershey Bears right now. So really, it's going to be Mathis Preston's team to really guide and go forth with this year in Spokane. There's another Spokane forward that I like that I think is a late first rounder in Chase Harrington, who we'll talk about in a bit. But for the most part, it's going to be Mathis Preston driving the bus for this team. And honestly, what a test you'll have.
Absolutely. You know what? And he's also, I want to mention, he's a July birth date. So he's a very young prospect from this draft class. So you always like to see that as well. Now, I'll go on and talk about one of the defensemen. And I know that you like Ryan Lynn a lot, Vancouver Giants. And actually he had a big weekend in terms of point production this year. He kind of started off the first couple games a little quiet, but this weekend popped up a few. And last year he had 53 points in 60 games. Now, the only, I guess, issue is that he's 5'11". But he does, have all those traits that you want in a defenseman. He's a right shot D. He activates really well, likes to join the rush, very confident with the puck on his stick. And defensively, he's pretty sound. So, when you have a D-1 season like that, and then you come into your draft year, and you're only going to get better, bigger, stronger, I think that that's going to bode well for Ryan Lynn, especially if he maintains the pace that he did last year, and if he has like a point a game this year, I think that you're talking top 10 for sure, maybe even top 5, and depending on how big he gets as well.
I think point a game is a little bit low for him. I think he should be shooting for like the 80s numbers. Let's see.
Oh,
The sky's the limit for this guy. I really think he's capable of putting up that point production. The skating is off the charts. I think there's a definite discussion that he could be, if not he already is, the best skater in this entire draft. Just looking at how he plays with the puck, without the puck, he's an incredible skater. He's a really good retrieval guy on the defensive side of the puck as well. Despite being 5'11", he's a fighter. He's a really smart player on the power play. You could be finding a guy who has a niche as a power play quarterback, which could kind of hurt his draft stock a little bit. But he's been showing on 5-on-5 that he's been a very, very valuable piece to this Vancouver Giants team, both last year and this year. Again, he had a great first weekend for himself. He's a right-hand shot. He may be able to grow in another inch or two. I'm a big fan of Ryan Lynn. There are some other defensemen that are going to be chasing him, but so far he's come out the gate swinging. He looks really solid. I love all three of the defensemen here who are like the big WHL defensemen. And Ryan Lynn, despite being the shortest of the three, looks the best so far. So I'm sticking with Ryan Lynn. He's my guy. He's my top 10 right now. It's really hard to see him fall out of there unless someone is really overperforming, but I really like him. It's hard really not to. There's a little bit of some defensive, like, okay, he could be better at this, but remember, he is 5'11". This is a pure offensive defenseman, and I think you're seeing something really special here with the skating. So keep him in your top 10.
Yeah, as of right now, a lot of the pundits have him in their top 10. I don't think that that's a question yet. It's just, we're going to see how he develops over the season. And
Just
if he
naturally, these types of like defensemen, like if you're 5'11", and people are going to talk, this is going to be a whole discussion of the entire year with him and Xavier Villeneuve. They're below 6 foot right now, and that's going to kind of hurt their draft stock. People are going to keep that in mind. Be like, if this defenseman starts doing well, it's going to hurt their case. So they need to kind of almost overperform to really like stay in that course. But I think Ryan Lynn's case is a little bit better than Xavier Villeneuve's because of just how dynamic he is.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that he's better defensively too than
Oh,
Villeneuve.
absolutely.
So, yeah. So, who do you want to talk about next? We're going to go through the top 3 big D of the dub. Let's. Who
Yeah,
do you
I
like?
look,
Who do you want on the
it's
next
hard
one?
not for me to talk about like I would say my personal favorite of the three. I will say right now, I'm literally having him neck and neck with Daxton Rudolph, like just outside of the top 10. But Carson Carrolls is just a player that you can't really ignore. I love the way that he plays without the puck. I love the angles that he takes. He's a really, really smart defenseman. Left-hand shot, yes, but he's big and he is all 6'2" of that size right there. I would even say that he may be 200 pounds. He may be even 200 pounds to start this season. He's a very big player. He's physical, but he's got a really good stick. He's a really good at gap control. He's one of those really NHL style defensemen that you love to see. I really see a lot of a pro game inside of him already. He's a guy who I would absolutely be on the lookout, being like, hey, he could commit to college this year and he could be in somewhere really cool as like a Michigan State or North Dakota next year. He's really good, and I think he could be ready as early as next year for NCAA play. I'm a big fan of him, and I'm a big fan of his stock. I don't think he falls outside of the top 20, despite how many points he gets, because he's just more of a two-way defenseman, more of a shutdown type of guy. More into the two-way defenseman. He's really solid in transition, and he's kind of just captured my heart early on in the stage. So.
Yeah, you know what? He put up 35 points in 60 games last year, and he's 6'2", like you said, pushing 200 pounds, which obviously is a big bonus when you're talking about defensemen. Now, you know what? If he puts up some decent numbers this year, like you said, he's not really considered purely an offensive defenseman, more of a two-way defenseman. But if he can put up some decent numbers, there's no denying that he might even get into the top 10. I mean, depending on how the point production goes for
Yeah.
Carson Carrolls this year.
Yo, look, the defensemen are always going to be taken, like some defensemen like him are always going to be taken higher than people will have them rated. I would not be surprised if, like, by the end of the year, this guy's a top 10 pick. I'm not saying he's going to go over like Rudolph or Lynn or even Verhoff, but I think there's a discussion and there's a world where a team's like, okay, we really need this type of defenseman, and they might overvalue him and take him in the top 10, which I won't even say would be a big reach. Like we're looking off into June right now, so who knows? So we'll see what happens. But I right in this early stage, big fan of him, huge fan of him. Though I know there's some really big Daxon Rudolph fanboys here, and I'm going to let you take that because I think he's naturally the next guy you're going to talk about.
Of course, of course. Yeah, Daxon Rudolph had 41 points in 64 games, 6'1", 194-pound right shot D. Want to mention that Carson Carroll's is a left shot D. Now, right shot D, we've mentioned this plenty of times. They are like unicorns. They are the top of the tier in terms of draft selection. So Daxon Rudolph fits the bill. Now, the nice thing about Daxon Rudolph is that I think that there is untapped offensive potential there. He's a big
Oh,
mobile kid.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that this year, if he can pop off a little bit, show a little bit more of that offensive. Now, we've had the same conversation when we talked about Logan Hensler last year. I thought that there was that offensive potential. He kind of fizzled out. And so obviously he dropped down in the draft. So, yeah, will Daxon Rudolph kind of hit that same mark, or if he pops off offensively, and the thing is he's big, he's rugged, not afraid of the corners in front of the net. He's kind of mean. I like his game overall. Just let's add some offense to that and, make the jump. But right now he's firmly in the top 10 for a lot of, online rankings. So what's your
Yeah.
take on him?
Oh no, again, as much as I like Carson Carroll's, it's been hard to keep Daxon Rudolph like neck and neck with him because right now I believe that Daxon Rudolph is the better player. I think there is more offensive upside with Daxon Rudolph. Again, he's already shown this year he has 5 points in 4 games. He's had a really good start, really good opening weekend. Again, he's starting to turn the tide. He's looking really, really nice. He's a player that I would really watch out for. If there's anyone like outside of the top 10 who has I would say if there's anyone who really has a chance of pressuring Ryan Lynn and maybe even Keaton Verhoff, it would be Daxon Rudolph. Just because of again, there's a lot of tools there. He exhibits a lot of those big moments in the boards around the net. But then again, he's got that offensive upside and that potential. I think if he just gets his skating, if he just improves his skating throughout this year, you really don't know where the limit is with him. I think there's a little bit more of a development curve with him than with others, but again, there's no denying he's really got all the tools there. It's just about how he's going to use them throughout this year. He's top 10 in my mind, no doubt. So but it's just about how many people are ahead of him. So for me,
Yeah, I think, like you said, if he can kind of ameliorate his skating, the payout could be really good. So if a
absolutely,
team is
that's a
a little bit
$4 word
patient,
right there. What'd you say? Ameliorate?
ameliorate, yeah,
Oh my gosh, look at that.
getting a little fancy there, eh?
Some viewers are gonna pull out their dictionary, like, what is he talking about? What's going on?
Yeah. So, but I mean, you know what though? It definitely could have a nice payout if Dax. And now he's a younger prospect as well. All right. So moving on. Who would you want to talk about next? Do you want to talk about one of the prospects that's come over from the U.S. side and has
Yeah.
absolutely been torching the dub early on?
Why not? Because Kamloops just picked up JP Hurlbert from the USN
Yes.
TDP. It was a move that I was a little shocked to see because he was taken 20th overall by them way back in 2023, which is just seems like a while back to say. But now JP Hurlbert is over in the dub for his draft year season, and he had a great opening weekend, 3 games, 6 goals, 3 assists for 9 points. He is on fire, and keep an eye on number 2 throughout the entire year because I think he really is going to be the best that Kamloops has to offer this year. He is gritty. He scores tough goals. People talk a lot about a guy like Carter Bear last year. There's a little bit of that in JP Hurlbert, but he's got some of that flash and a little bit of that offensive upside to his game. So I don't have him in my first round yet, per se. Will he get there? He might. He might. I really think that he's somebody that he's absolutely on first round watch. Again, he's come out really the gate really, really fast. But right now he's more second rounder just based on how he did last year. The season, again, we'll see what happens throughout the entirety of his season. But again, it's a great start to his season. The Kamloops team is not like a burner per se. So him performing this early is really, really crucial. There aren't a lot of line mates for them to help out. Like what's there, like Nathan Bame? But come on. Like he's really come out early, come out strong. So I again, it's a great thing to see for this kid. And hey, it's another example of Texas hockey dominating in the WHL. So good for him.
You know what? I watched the tape of him this weekend, and the one thing that he does really well is he finds the soft ice. Like he just seems to know where to go on the ice, find those, open lanes and stuff like that. And he's getting some nice goals that way. And actually, the team's been playing as a team. They've been playing really well. Like the unit that he's like just looks really good. So yeah, does he maintain that pace? Can he, bump up into that first round discussion? It's going to be interesting to see when the NHL Central Scouting releases their list. Early on they'll do like
Yeah,
A-rated, B-rated players
he
who
might
are.
start out B or C rated, but I think
Well,
he's someone who climbs up. Yeah,
you think that maybe he might like jump up to that A just because of the hot start that he has, and the
maybe.
Central Scouting says, hey, let's. You never know because listen, there's a lot of play there
He
that goes
he
on during
isn't
the
too
year.
small. He's 5'11", so like, look,
Yeah,
we'll never know how he starts, but we'll see.
yeah. All right. I know that the next player you want to mention is Chase Harrington. We mentioned him
Yes.
earlier on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Now that's someone that you like.
Yeah, in this early stage, I've really liked a guy like Chase Harrington. Again, I going back and watching some of the stuff that he was able to do last year, he's a very cerebral player. I think he's going to really stick out at more of the center position this year, but he's really proved himself for me. He's going to be more of a two-way center. He's 6 foot. He's closer to 200 pounds, but he's really good on both ends of the ice. And I think he is making up for a lot of the two-way game that Mathis Preston does not have. I think that's going to be their main first line. It's going to be Harrington and Preston and whoever else comes up after them. But don't count on Harrington. He is without a doubt in my top 20. He's a guy that I'm high on really, really early. And I think I'm going to be high on him for the rest of the year. He's been very smart, in my opinion. Very good skater. Really nice passer. Like I said, just a very cerebral player. He thinks the game very well. In all the tape that I've seen in him, he's really impressed me, and he's really stuck out to me as a top 20 prospect. I wouldn't say top 10, but I really think he had a very strong end of last year. He had a very strong playoff run, despite being on that loaded Spokane team. He was on the second line with Preston. And he should be, again, feeding Preston again this year. So we'll see what he does throughout this year. But I really think don't count Chase Harrington out. Uh, don't really just add the Preston clause to him because I think there's a lot there that people will like.
Yeah, so Chase Harrington on Elite Prospects newly released early rankings, he's 28th overall. So I mean, obviously there is some discussion as to again early on we can definitely see, but it's nice to see two players like Preston and Harrington on the same team and same line, and if they can do some magic together, that's obviously going to help their draft stock. So
Absolutely.
I like the duality of that combo for sure. All right.
Absolutely.
More to discuss. We'll get a little bit more depth when it comes closer to draft time. We'll talk about, more players into the second round and whatnot. But right now, you know what time it is. We've had finally some follower questions to answer. Yes, we are excited about this. And there's a few good ones actually this time around, Linc. So let's hit it right away. So first one, Bay Area James says, if the Sharks have a miracle season and don't land a top 5 pick, which D-men should they pick in the 6 to 10 range? What do you think, Linc? I mean,
we just outlined 3. So
yeah,
I don't
you
think
know
Ryan.
what?
I think if they have a good season and let's say they land like 8th, Ryan Lynn will probably be gone. Maybe Daxton Rudolph is gone by that point, or Carson Carrolls. I think you have to kind of target Carrolls and Rudolph really tightly. But there's also Chase Reed. Chase Reed has looked really good in this early stage of the class. If you want a bigger defenseman, Malte Gustafsson from HV71 in the Swedish league, he's been highly regarded by a lot of people. There's still a little bit to do in his game. He's pretty raw, but he's big. He's a left shot D, but he's a really big left shot D from Sweden. I think no matter what you want to go with, you guys have Sam Dickinson in your lineup. You have some pretty high-powered offensive defensemen with Luca Cagnoni and whatnot. But again, there's some pretty good two-way defensemen. Like there's Rudolph, Carrolls, Reed. You have some really good stuff to choose from there. If you want to lean more defensive defensemen, you got Gustafsson. So I think keeping an eye on those 4. I think it's a pretty safe bet to say if you're just outside of the top 7 or 8, that 3 of those 4 should be available.
Yeah, you know what? I think that you covered it pretty well. We basically covered those 3 of the D that potentially could be in that location. All right, Crosby, 8771. My biggest question is how this class compares to last year's class. For example, would you take Keaton Vierhoff over Matthew Schaefer? What's the difference in their potential? But I'd like to know for each year's top 10. So, no, I wouldn't take Vierhoff over Schaefer. No. Actually, have you seen what Schaefer's been doing in the preseason? Yeah, the kid is.
He did it against my team. So, yes, I did see.
Yeah,
so.
he hunted down Matvey Michkov but you know what?
Yeah,
he was on the move, whereas Matvey Michkov had to, start and go. But I have to say, though, he's looking pretty decent out there already. And he does have leadership qualities. He does have the skating. He's a great kid off the ice. He has all those intangibles that you need to be a perfect NHLer. So, yeah, at this point, I would go Schaefer over Vierhoff. Now, for the rest of the 10, last year's draft, surprisingly, going into the draft, everyone was like, it's not a deep draft. But to be honest with you, if you look at the players that were in the top 10 last year, that was a decent crew. This year, with the exception of McKenna, I would say that last year's draft may be a little bit deeper, actually.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you here.
Oh!
Here's where wait, because I'll start. Let me start with Verhoff and Schaefer real quick. Because Schaefer, I feel like we're looking at a guy who he's earned his right to go first overall. He really is a fantastic skater. Him and Misa are going to be they're going to heat this call to race up. I know there's Zeev Buium, I know there's Zane Parekh, and I know there's Ivan Demidov, but Schaefer and Misa will give those guys a run for their money. They're going to be very hot out of the gate. And even with last year's draft class, I do fully believe that the top 4 or 5 guys are stronger than the top 4 or 5 guys in this class. Like, again, if we look at guys like Schaefer, Misa, Hagens, Frondell, and Denoye, I think that stacks up better than McKenna, Verhoff, Stenberg, Lynn, and I guess like Lawrence is in the top 5 now. We haven't really solidified that down. I have Ruberek in my top 5, but doesn't matter. However, in terms of deepness, in the way that I see this draft class, it goes deep. I feel like there was a significant fall off for last year's draft class after around like pick 18 to 20.
No, so I think you got it wrong because he was asking about the top 10.
Oh,
I'm not talking about the, in terms of the top 10. I think that last year's draft is deeper than this year's draft top 10. That's what I'm saying.
I still think this is a deeper top 10. I think that's something there's a lot more talent in and around the top 10. I think it's going to be a lot closer of a field for the top 10. There's like a good 15 to 16 guys that I think could all really challenge for top 10 spots, and it'll be a close race. They're very talented forwards and defensemen alike. In this early stage, obviously, you're a little bit more optimistic with potential, but I think that I felt more strongly about a lot more of the guys just outside of the top 10 and inside of the top 10 than I did last year. Of course, right now, I feel like, because, again, they've had their full season, I'm trying not to have recency bias, but I think the top 5 of last year's draft class was really strong. But outside of that top 5, I was never really like, okay, it's this outside of that. I think this draft class.
So okay, well look at the guys in the top 10. So you got Hagens, Martin, Murtka, Jake O'Brien.
Are we talking about like? Well, yeah.
Come on, the top 10. Like you're trying to tell me that's not a decent top 10?
We'll see. I had Martin outside of my top 10 last year, so I don't feel as strongly about him. I think.
Oh, and Hagens. Did I mention Hagens?
I mentioned Hagens.
Martone. I missed Martone. Our Flyers. Like, come on.
Our Flyers. Come on.
Oh, look at that top 10 link. Come on.
Absolutely. I know it's a really strong top 10, but I think I have faith in this top 10 too. I do really like this top 10 for 2026.
I'm not sold yet. We got a season.
Well, we disagree. So
we got to say, hey, that's okay. We got a season to see what happens here. I love
Absolutely.
it. Let us know in the comment section below. Who do you think has a better top 10, the 2025 class or the 2026 class? Let us know who you think. Linc and I are in a little bit of a disagreement on that one.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, Linc, last question. Simon J. Scouting. Who's someone you think that has the potential to bump out Stenberg or Vierhoff in the top 3?
Well, This is a very interesting question because I
Yeah.
did low-key mention Preston as someone who could do it. I don't know. Let's be real. Like I don't believe that really that too much. I think Preston is just outside my top 10 for now. But I think there's really only two guys who can do it, and they're both forwards. Tynan Lawrence, Cam Robinson from EP just posted something about scouts consensus on this draft, and some of them apparently, according to Cam Robinson, came back and said Tylan Lawrence was a guy for number 2. And honestly, I can totally see it. He's an August birthday. He's very dynamic. This guy is all offense. He's a center as well. There's a lot to love in his game. And again, he's in the USHL, and he's committed to go to Boston University for next year. He will be an 18-year-old for that entire season for his freshman year. There's a lot to love with this guy. 100%. And will he be within the top 3 discussion? Absolutely. The other guy that I think I really, really like, who is on kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, he's big, he's got all the tools, I think he's a better skater and better shot, but he's an early birthday. That's Ryan Ruberek. The talent that Ruberek brings, it's going to be, we're going to have to see when he eventually, gets going in his OHL season. But I really love Ruberek in this early stage. I've been a big fan about him. I have not really hid my joy for this prospect. He only has 4 points in his first 4 games. It's a little bit of a slow start for a guy who's supposed to be, again, a top 4, top 5 guy. But I think tools-wise, people are going to really settle into him. He should be competing to make that World Juniors roster because of his size, because of his age. So I think those two are the 2 big guns right now. Some people may say a guy like Ethan Belchet. Some people may say a guy like Vigo Bjork. And I mean, we saw he had his first SHL goal the other day. But I really only believe there's 2 guys who are going to challenge guys as kind of set in stone, like Stenberg and Verhoff. And it's going to be those 2.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you. And actually, I get to go see Ryan Ruberek this Thursday.
There you go.
Coming to Windsor. So tomorrow.
Lucky you.
Yes, it's going to be a good time to see him. And actually, Wassling's on that team, right? That's what we're.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I am less of a fan of Brady Wasselin. But we'll see. So I've actually I'm actually coming out with my big list soon. I'm coming out with the top 32. And we'll see we'll see when this drops. It'll probably drop a little bit after this episode, but I might have something like 15 honorable mentions because
Hey.
Wasselin's a guy that's dropping for me, but not Ruberek. Ruberek's really high still for me.
Okay. All right. So now next part is name that prospect. All right. Now I decided to throw my hat in the bag, as they say, and picked a lot. So my prospect, he played in the Allsvenskan in his draft year, 2023. I'll even give you the draft year, 2023. He's not from Sweden, though. Ooh. He's not from Sweden. He is a European, but not from Sweden. Okay. And then he played in the OHL in his D+1 season. And then in his D+2 season, played in the AHL. So right. I know you did something similar to that where we didn't give any kind of information, just basically where they played and stuff like that. So let's see if you guys can figure that out. 2023 draft, played in the Allsvenskan, not from Sweden, played Neo in his D+1 and in the HL D+2. Who is that? Name that prospect.
Absolutely. Yes. I actually wanted to shout out because I saw the first person to get Trey Augustine basically from the last episode from, I think it was SCI Rolo. And yeah, he claims he said Augustine before I even finished talking. So yes. I guess I've been too easy. I think Mark gave you a harder one. So we'll see what happens with this one. But yes, I want to give you a shout out real quick because good thinking on that one. You were the first one to comment.
Must be a Red Wing fan, eh? Must be a Red Wing fan.
So absolutely might be just a Michigan State fan. You never know. Or a dime a dozen up in there in Michigan.
I love it. Okay, and that is it for this episode. And like I said, before we shut this down, head over to Fantrax if you're into fantasy hockey and fantrax.com/NHL Draft Pros. It would really help us out. And as always, we will see you next week. Enjoy the rest of the week there, Linc, and cheers to everyone else. Bye.
Cheers.